In this episode of the RV Small Talk podcast, I have one itty bitty little question. I'm going to ask it. We'll do our intro and then we'll dive into it. And that question this week is, wasn't camping supposed to be simple? Welcome to the RV Small Talk podcast, where we talk about lightweight trailers, truck campers, and the people, places, and adventures that go right along with them. We're your hosts for Princess Craft RV. I am Clint.
I'm PJ.
And I can't wait to answer the question.
Excellent. Before I let you do that.
Oh. It's just not like, we don't just say like yes or no and then the podcast's over?
I mean, we could. I mean, people might really think like we're really honoring their time this week.
It's supposed to be simple, right?
Yeah.
So if it's simple, is a simple yes or no answer enough?
Not for us. We've got way too many words, and I have a fresh mug of coffee.
We need the why.
Yeah. Super why.
Oh,
that's a
you
throwback.
have kids.
I do. Okay, so before we dive in, we do want to say thank you to everyone for joining us in this episode. And you can find show notes at rvsmalltalk.com. You can check out the video for this at YouTube. Just look up RV Small Talk. And we're also on social media, RV Small Talk. Same thing, everywhere you go. But I digress.
Always.
Because it's fun to say I digress for some reason.
I know.
I digress. It's fun to say I digress.
I would like to see if you say it in every podcast.
Yeah.
Because I think it's most of them, but I can't say it's everyone. But I got my radar up on it now.
All right. Fair enough. We'll maybe have like a tally sheet or something.
Yeah.
Okay. But wasn't camping supposed to be simple? I mean, ultimately, isn't that largely something we hear? I'd want to do.
Yeah. Well, I think that is one concept of it. I mean, camping is supposed to be simple if you're thinking of it as getting out in the wild, relaxing, getting away from your everyday normal. Mm-hmm. But maybe there's different ways of camping as well. We've talked about this.
Sure.
Where people love to travel. They call it traveling or glamping or going somewhere to have a certain type of adventure. Mm-hmm. But still, it's supposed to be away from the hustle and bustle. Mm-hmm. I think that's what simple means to me.
And we probably should rule out and say, hey, this isn't a conversation for you work campers. That's a whole other thing.
Yeah. By definition,
if you're a traveling nurse, first off, thank you very much. But this is a conversation for your entertainment only. You travel because it is work life.
yeah, but even then, if you're a traveling nurse and you live in your camper, mm-hmm. which is very common to do, then you have simplified your life, right?
Yeah, I would hope. Right? I mean, that's a hard enough life as it is. If that's your vocation.
Yeah.
If you think about like the quote unquote like history of camping, can you not hear me either?
You are a little quiet. Go ahead.
Are you asking me to talk louder?
Yes.
Oh, wait, so what is wrong with this picture?
Something's up. Anyway.
So if you think about like camping, where it came from, it's not simple. You had like a tent and your tools and all your cooking gear and your food and your chairs. I mean, like none of that is simple. Like camping itself is not simple. It's just something different than your normal life.
Okay.
But then I think like maybe that introduction of like trailers, then I don't know, maybe it's just human nature to be like, I have this thing.
Yeah.
How much can I put in it?
Sure.
How much can I do with it? Like we're humans. We really like pushing things to the limit.
It's
we
true.
Really like trying to figure out how far we can take it. So,
well,
yeah.
I mean, you think that's exactly how pioneers crossed. They couldn't bring everything, so they simplified to a point, but they mm-hmm. still brought all their cast iron. And it's
well, it did go on a boat and not on their back.
And some of them died of dysentery, and just more cast iron for the rest of us.
What?
It's true.
What? And
Clint, you digress.
I did. But also, you think about it, we do this in anything vehicular. Our half-ton trucks can carry way more than a half-ton now. I mean, really?
That's true.
I mean,
we just want to push things.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right.
Well, I think there's the idea that more is better.
And bigger is better. And Texas is both of those things.
And Texas is better than anything else.
Oh my goodness. We're gonna get the hate mail.
Well, it's not, unfortunately. I wish it was.
So if RVing originally is like a central component of people's idea, that living simply was a centerpiece of that idea. What do you think causes that quote unquote mission creep? Because it happens to all of us. I was kind of thinking along the ideas for this podcast, and boy, does it happen to me and my family. More and more stuff comes along.
So you're talking about like the idea of what you're going to do morphing.
And the stuff and the things
because things that go with it.
And then I'm Amazoning things and or hitting up REI or Academy or Bass Pro or something.
Well, I think the two biggest reasons that I can think of is, one, we a lot of times buy things to make things simpler, right? Like,
okay, like what?
I need a second set of towels so I don't have to get my towels out of my house every time I go camping. I need this tool, that way it's easier for me to do these repairs to the camper. I need smaller Tupperware so it can fit in the smaller fridge. I need all this stuff to quote unquote make it easier to camp. And I think the other reason why people buy stuff is because it's the same thing as decorating your bedroom. I mean, do you want a bedroom with white walls and white sheets and pillowcase and like nothing?
There's something wrong with that?
No, there's nothing wrong with that. But in general, people really want to show their personality and use it as an extension of creativity. And a camper is exactly that. I mean, especially
because it's not your house, so
right.
You can go wild.
Oh, I'm going to make this camper like buffalo plaid, Angela. I mean, just things like that, and then they go with a theme, and then it's like, well, yeah, obviously I need a red percolator, and obviously I need a red blanket. And then before you know it, you're shopping on Amazon and you're like, oh my gosh, I've never seen a red one of those. Well, I'm just going to get it for my camper. But it causes this accumulation of stuff because you want to feel like it's yours and you made it. And it makes you feel good.
Sure. And I have nothing to say to the contrary of all that.
Yeah, but
because that's
at the end of the day, it's a lot of stuff.
Right.
It ends up not being so simple because how many campers do we know that have a theme and have totes that they have to bring?
Totes and totes and totes.
Decorate their camper when they get there or to set up their camper.
Well, okay. And so therein lies is... Did one hobby kind of get replaced with another hobby? Did a priority get replaced with another? Or you start out your dream looking for a camper and you think, I just need to get away from it all. I just need to reset. I need quiet. I need away from the technology. And that's where you go into shopping for your RV. But then eventually, maybe the hobby diminishes and a new hobby arises, glamping or theming or what have you.
Yes.
Decorating or collecting or...
And let's be clear, I think that all counts as entertainment. That counts
fine.
as checking out. It counts as, relaxing and not worrying about the electric bill and not worrying about getting to work and is your job secure and all of the daily things we have to deal with. Yeah. It's as much of a getaway as anything.
Right.
It just makes the simple idea of camping much more involved. But I think you're in a different situation. I mean, all those things that you mentioned, Lindsay, are wonderful. And people that say, wouldn't it be cool? But some people have the idea of it gets unsimplified because they're like, well, what if I need this?
Yeah.
What if I need that?
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's what happens to you. You have a very basic, kind of a tiny toy hauler with fold out beds on the side.
Right.
But I mean, last time I saw it, it was hard to walk in.
Well, true.
You got a lot of stuff.
So it's like accumulation from fear?
No, I don't think it's fear as much. So it's kind of that old Boy Scout mentality of always be prepared. And it's not necessarily always be prepared, but because always be prepared is like cargo shorts. It's cool to certain guys. You're like, I mean, I love modular things because it's like Transformers, and you can attach this thing and make it perfect for this scenario. It's kind of just the power of feeling ready. It's a hoarder mentality in a degree, where you're like, I may use this in 18 years, and you know what? You don't. But sometime in year 43, you use it.
But you don't know where your wife put it.
But you have to go through like 3 garages and 4 storage units to find it. But you know you have it.
Oh, I have all this stuff where I'm like, this is so cool. I've got this like big knife, and it could be a bottle opener, and a screwdriver and a knife, and it can, do 18 other things.
It can cut my food, and when I want to go full slasher, it can do that too.
And it has a spoon and a fork in it. It has this and that.
Yeah.
And I never use it for any of that because I have another bottle opener.
Yeah.
And I have a fork and a spoon. And I have a plain knife somewhere.
Yeah.
But I got to have this cool gadget because it does everything.
And it's hard to throw away or get rid of because it's still cool every time you hold it.
And it has so many things it can do. And it is in there with the 18 batteries just in case we need a battery.
Okay, but that's
and 7
genius.
flashlights because, sometimes you got 4 people that need flashlights. And if those don't work, you have 4 more. I mean, that's what happens in my camper and everything. I mean, how do I have drawers full of things I never use?
But I feel like that's the male form. Not that females aren't like that, but in general, it's like what you were saying, like you feel like a cool guy mentality of having the gadgets and being prepared. That is the exact same thing as people who buy all the red stuff because they want their camper to be red.
I bet it does satisfy the same place in your brain.
Yeah. It's like, this is mine. Now, how do I make it mine? And making it yours almost always includes stuff and getting away from simple.
Sure. I believe it. And so ultimately, I mean, and
none of this is good or bad or right or wrong.
That's exactly what I was leading into.
No. But it is definitely not simple. It's not simple.
And that's just, I guess maybe that's ultimately where we've already landed or may even dive further into is first off, it's okay. And simple may still be part of the minimalists. We hear about minimalists, people who simplify and all that. And that is a joy for them to pursue minimalism, to pursue simplicity.
She really does get joy out of throwing away everything.
And it can be it can do something for you emotionally. I don't know, some sort of hormone and chemical dump.
Yeah.
And it becomes its own hobby.
Yeah.
To simplify.
Yeah, and I am definitely guilty of that.
It's addicting.
However, I relate to both of the ideas you guys are talking about because I love the gadgets and the things that do things. And when I need something to happen, I want to have something that does that.
Yeah.
I also love a really cool decorated camper. Now, the truth is, I am pretty bad at both those things.
You love them. You appreciate them.
I'm not very good at it.
Okay.
And I have a husband who has maybe a similar but a little bit skewed idea of things where he is always saying, what if? What if we get to this place and there's no sun? We're going to need this covering.
Yeah.
We're going to need these 2 chairs to put under there. And we're going to need this. What if we get there and it's really cold?
Yeah, he's starting to Boy Scout it.
Yeah. What if we get there and we don't have this? And of course, my thought is, then we'll do without it.
Yeah.
And his thought is, but I could take all 3 of these things and one of them will work.
Right.
So that's probably where I've gained the minimalist stuff is that, how many people do you hear of that say, yeah, they went camping, but the husband died because they only had 1 fork and spoon?
What?
I mean, seriously.
Are you saying it doesn't matter because if nobody dies?
You know how fast
Nobody
that
dies.
went from
Yes.
lively to super dark and somber right up to hilarious?
Clint, I cannot wait to watch this on YouTube just to see mine and your eyes at the
face.
same time.
What a roller coaster,
Okay.
PJ.
happening?
Exactly.
But I see what you're saying. I mean,
Because my point is there's this idea of what if we get out there and we don't have it? Well, first of all, most likely within a very short drive,
There's a Dollar General.
Walmart or a Dollar General. Okay. First off. Second off, you probably have something that will do the job. It may not be exactly what you need.
Yeah.
There's always that substitute. And, you know, the third piece of it is most everything you can do without if you don't have it. You can just simply do, hey, we don't have that.
Yeah.
You know?
What else can we do?
do you think a sense of like feeling like maybe if you don't have the right stuff or enough stuff or prepared, then your trip is not going to be as enjoyable as it could be? Like instead of a fear of something going wrong, it's more of a fear of I want this trip to be fun, so I need all the things just in case all these things happen. Because I mean,
I think that's
a fear
exactly
of
it.
not having fun, well, that sucks.
Well, and in a way, this is at least on two fronts expensive to go out. Let's say you've got a busy life in a normal setting, residential setting, work life and all that. It's expensive on two fronts because you are taking time away from things that are going to pile up and be waiting for me. So you know this is an expensive thing from that time away standpoint. But it also typically costs gas and groceries and reservations and all that.
And all the stuff you forgot at Walmart that you have to buy again.
Yeah, and you can't get to the Walmart as fast as Dollar General, so now you're buying the Dollar General brand or whatever. So,
And the idea that, it'll cost so much if we have to buy that.
Right.
But you know what? Bug spray doesn't cost that much more at the convenience store than it did at Walmart.
Yeah.
It just might be an inconvenience to have to drive up. How many campgrounds don't have a place to buy bug spray or an extra toothbrush?
okay, yeah.
How many times, Lindsay, have you gone camping? I mean,
A dozen.
and you don't, and you miss something. I mean, I forgot to
toothbrush.
bring a toothbrush.
You can call me out. I
forgot
never
to
bring
or
my toothbrush.
I remember one time you're like, I don't have any tennis shoes for the kids. All we have is this pair of flip-flops. And I'm like,
One pair for two kids.
they won't die. They'll be fine in flip-flops. I mean, it'll be okay.
Spoiler alert. They're still alive.
They're still alive. Yeah.
They made it through.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why what you're saying just made me really want to buy a clapper. Because I was thinking whenever you're talking about this, if someone had a clapper in mosquito season and they put it on someone else's trailer to make the lights and all that go on. So, so I don't know why. You were talking about something and I'm just thinking,
Okay, that's really weird.
I really
Clint.
want a clapper to sneak into someone's trailer so when they're swatting at mosquitoes, their lights go on and off.
All right. When is April Fool's Day?
I don't know, but
I feel like we need to put
Let's
that
go
in our
camping.
back pocket. All right. So we're talking here about simple.
yeah. And ultimately, does that have to be the goal? I mean, it might be the entry point. It might be part of the big overarching idea that gets us into it. We want to relax. We want to disconnect and all. But it once we find our love for RVing and camping in general, isn't it okay that this notion of the simple life goes away because maybe it's our hobbies, our pursuits. Maybe it's fishing or kayaking or photography. Or we know people who bring with them quilting.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, and if you know a quilter, they bring a lot.
That's
of
a lot.
fabric and cutters and
So maybe it did start out as simple, but really
You found
the
your
word
passion.
probably needs to be different. You know, like something
Good
different than your house.
see, my mom always told
no matter what that
kids who
means.
are being mean to me, don't call him simple, call him different. And now I appreciate it, Mom.
You ain't camping all the time.
They had to send people out to find me.
Because you were different.
So how important is simple to you guys when you go camping? Like, how much is that in your mind of like, we're going to keep this simple?
Well, if you're going out to go camping in order to relax, for some people, it's very stressful to be away from their home and not have all the stuff.
Okay.
It's stressful that they won't have enough
Yeah.
or they won't have the one thing they need.
So it's anxiety driven.
Yeah. So I think that creates some hoarding, for lack of a better word, when you go camping. And maybe that's, for some people, that's part of it. I want to be somewhere else, but I got to have all my stuff.
Yeah.
I don't even want my stuff when I'm at home. So I'm like, why do I have all this stuff? But I do know some people are at the exact opposite.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I think for me is just always being cognizant of the stuff actually starting to get in the way of the ultimate pursuit of relaxing or enjoying my hobby or the setting or other plans. If the stuff starts getting in the way, then I have crossed some lines.
Well, if everybody has a different threshold and a different level of what they need, and maybe as simple as possible is probably the goal, which means different things to different people. What's some things that can help people decide, hey, do I have too much stuff or do I have not enough stuff? Is there an approach that can help them?
I feel like if something is in my camper for 2 or 3 camping trips and I don't ever use it, then I take it out of my trailer. And that doesn't mean that it wouldn't be super useful the 3rd time I go camping, right? You'd be like, crap, I didn't need it the first 2 times, but of course I took it out and now I need it.
Sure, it's a game of odds or statistics in a way.
It still feels better to me to have less stuff and try to figure out how to open that bottle of wine without a.
You know how satisfying it is to say, hey, where's that thing? And immediately like, oh, it's at home.
Yeah.
Versus searching for 35 minutes?
Yes.
You're like, well, that's the
too
thing.
bad. We'll figure it out. That is more my speed. So I have heard of like other people saying that they do that too. They they go through their camper like twice a year or whatever. And hey, we have never used that. Let's take it out.
Yeah.
But
so I found a cat one time.
Yeah, there you go. My approach is way more like just start with nothing and then be like, this is not very fun at all. I don't have anything I need. And then, so then you just get like the essentials.
Yeah.
But maybe I got it from you, I guess. I am a minimalist and honestly, it gets me in trouble sometimes because I'm like, I never have everything I need. But for me, it feels better in my brain than having too much stuff.
Disclutter, just in your general lives, disclutter, amp up your...
Yes.
Yeah, it does for me, for sure.
Like the second you open the front door, if you see too much stuff, I'm like, we're done.
Just going to put more stuff around you.
Well,
see what happens.
Also, Lindsay, you and I are not planners. So I think there's a difference between people that are planners and people that are kind of fly by the seat of your pants because planning takes a lot of effort. And we learn to get
works.
And then you always don't have something. So why even try? I mean, so.
And can you, you two are actually good at handling stuff as it pops up. And some people aren't as good at handling it.
Because they need the plan.
Yeah. And some of you, I mean, you two can.
Do you know what we do?
With it and
Pivot. What about you, Clint? What is something that you use to keep it simple in your trailer or something that you want to start doing?
Okay. Now hear me out on this.
Okay.
All right. I'm getting comfy and grabbing some coffee.
If I want things to be simple for me on a camping trip,
you're not going to go.
I utilize one very important thing in my life.
Your wife.
Laura.
Is she the same? Like she doesn't... She's a more of a minimalist, not a we need everything.
If it's just the two of us, absolutely. But when she wants to relax, she wants the kids' bases covered and she overdoes it on their behalf.
I understand that.
We're talking about a girl who grew up rough camping. And she camped, first off, way more than I did. And she grew up rough camping more than I did. She definitely did Colorado trips where they slept in a sleeping bag under the stars on a picnic table.
Cool.
And that was, and they didn't, in many of those locations, even have vault toilets. And they would do this.
And if it didn't fit on your back, you didn't take it.
Yeah. And so she actually has a much more rugged background. And I think that she has a nostalgia for it. And me, I kind of, I'm maybe a little bit more in line with y'all in some respects that I just kind of want to go and I want it to be simple. And, but I get if the kids aren't taken care of, if they're whining about comfort and all that, it bothers me. But what I have learned is if they don't have the stuff to whine about, it's just, there's just no way to get to it. The whining actually peters off pretty quick.
Yeah, it really does.
And then we do it to ourselves because we actually brought so many things that those things start to control the time, whether it be toys or games or s'mores or what have you. If you bring too much, that stuff can control your time and it can lead to the complaining that we sometimes experience.
I think when it comes to kids, honestly, I think simplicity is in general, not just in camping, but especially in camping. But I think it's something that it's even a hard concept to fathom now because life is so fast and there's so many toys and the video games and this and everything is so in their face now that it's really hard to remember what simple means for kids when camping. Yeah. And
that's our chance to give them that experience because they may never anywhere else get it.
But I totally understand when Laura says, I'm not going to get to relax and be in a different place than I am at home. Yeah. Right? I want it to be different too. I want to sit and do nothing. And so in order to do that, I'm just going to bring this and this and this for the kids.
Keep them occupied, crafts and all that.
That's my go-to. That's absolutely my go-to.
And you know what? We've talked about this before. One way that Laura and I mitigate this is we bring more stuff. And the stuff is aunts, uncles, and cousins.
There you go.
If you bring aunts, uncles, and cousins and sometimes some grandparents along,
you don't need anything.
Then you can be more simple.
And usually they'll bring an extra toothbrush too.
Yeah. I tell my kid to gnaw on a stick until it's all fuzzed out.
There
and then you use that.
Well, I think if you review everything that you have in your camper, maybe twice a year, just think about how often you use it and how important it is to you and maybe what would happen if you didn't have it. Because I promise you, I can get a cork out of a wine bottle one way or another. I don't care what tools I have or don't.
Does that work well for y'all?
Like no, I've always wanted to try it.
I've tried a few different methods. Not that I really drink that much, but like at our rallies or something like that. And all I end up doing is breaking the top of the bottle. And now I'm worried that there's glass in the drink.
I've always wanted to try it.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to try it while I'm camping too. Just be like, this is simple.
Well, you have a tiny trailer rally coming up. Let's get you a chance to do this.
I say let's buy a case of cheap wine and see if we can do that.
And practice.
Ooh, we can practice.
Have a class.
No, that means somebody could actually teach it. Are you going to teach it?
Yeah.
I say we just have a contest.
Who can do it the fastest?
Most creative way to open a bottle of wine without a corkscrew.
And then we can have a follow-up class on stitches.
We're literally talking about how to keep camping simple, and now we're talking about what's happening.
Rallies aren't meant to be completely simple.
This is true. This is true. But you know what's cool about the rallies is you really do get both.
Yes.
Both extremes and everything in between. So if you're someone who wants to be more simple, or if you're someone that's like, man, this is too simple. I want to, have some flavor to my camper or camping, or I want to be more prepared next time. Yeah. You can kind of see all of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we get such a fun batch of characters that you'll have
they're crazy.
So many personalities, and they come in and you'll see the guy who did a home build camper. And initially you're like, oh, a single guy did a home build camper. First off, the thing is cool as all get out, but it's probably simple. but it's not.
No, those people they build the most intricate things. We see the most amazing mods, the most amazing details of how to carry things and how to make them work efficiently. It's really crazy. So anyway, well, that's a plug for the rally. The rally's in October, Texas Tiny Trailer Rally. It's awesome. You can see people that camp simple, and you will see people that absolutely do not camp simple.
TexasTinyTrailerRally.com.
Yes. Also, I know the name is Texas Tiny Trailer Rally. However,
anybody can come.
Just come and camp with us.
Yeah.
We
it is
have
an
all
amazing
different
camp out.
sizes, no matter where you bought it from. So
Yep.
we got to start talking about the rally. It's going to be here before we know it.
Yes, it's
I'm
October.
sure.
October.
So,
well,
what about? I'm going to skip to page 3.
I thought we just did page 3.
No.
This was supposed to be simple.
I was involved.
Yeah, good point.
All right. What about the people who have spent their time RVing and they've gotten up to the bigger rigs, the bigger, more involved setups and all that, and they have decided, you know what, we want to go smaller. We want to simplify for various reasons. Maybe they're just tired of something being so long or heavy behind them.
We hear that a lot.
So, what are our suggestions on going smaller?
On paring down?
On paring down, making and finding success in it.
Like with your stuff or just finding a different trailer?
Do you want to attack both?
I mean, I guess it's kind of the same answer, huh?
It very well could be. It's the same ballpark.
I got till 2:45.
Oh, true.
Do you want me to leave now?
No, I just want to not bite off more than we can chew. That's all.
Okay.
5 minutes and go.
All right. First off, if you're looking for a smaller RV, get a smaller RV.
The end.
No.
Okay. My guidance. I take
Are you
things
sure?
and I take them out of containers and put them in other containers.
What?
That's fun.
It is a ridiculous act. I understand that. And for me, it makes it more simple.
I do that with a cat litter.
But I understand how maybe that doesn't sound simple. No, okay. So we're talking about the kitchen, right?
Okay,
So
explain.
If you have an outdoors RV fifth wheel and you're moving into a Tab 320,
Whoa.
or whatever.
Whoa.
You're downsizing.
You are.
Take everything from your kitchen and then everything gets a space, right? A slot, a box, a compartment. And then if it doesn't fit in that compartment, you don't need it, right? Instead of 15 forks, you bring 2. And so if you open a kitchen drawer, you have little compartments for everything and it all goes in its compartment and fits there. That way you're kind of setting yourself up to not get more stuff, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
If you set it up the right way, then you're like, oops, I'm out of room.
Sure.
Because I have my little compartments and they all fit exactly what they need to fit and nothing more.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So here's my suggestion. Get around people who camp in the smaller format. Get around that community. And not just to see how they do it, but because there is a social inspiration thing. I find that if I go to a rally and there's a lot of gadgets and gizmos, I'm suddenly doing research on it because of the way my brain works. I'm shopping at Amazon or seeing if Cody can get it in our parts shop.
It's essentially advertising in real life.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus all the bigger resorts and all that, they have Wi-Fi. I'm always connected. So this whole idea of getting digitally disconnected isn't working for me in those environments anyways.
Right.
But if I'm going to downsize, I need to be in those groups around those group of people. That way, if I am inspired to gadgetry, it's gadgetry that works.
It's already been proven that it's
right, and I'm not overdoing it with what you would find in a fifth wheel. If I'm camping with more tags, more teardrops, then I need it, and I want to be successful in that space. Then it's good to have a tag teardrop type community. I mean, that they really help and support and inspire, and they give you tips and tricks on how to make stuff work and what you don't need.
Okay,
That's
so
an interesting take.
it is. But what I've seen happen is that somebody will say, oh, that little air fryer is so cool and it's small, fits in your trailer. I need one of those. And so they go on Amazon and they order a red one because they have a red trailer. I have this cool little red air fryer, but they don't get rid of their grill or their camp stove or their toaster oven. They don't get rid of anything. They just add one more gadget because it's cool in case they might want it.
It's mission creep.
I do see that. We're like, oh my gosh, it's made for a camper because it's so small, whatever it is.
It's a waffle maker that looks like a camper. It must be mine.
But it's like, do you even need that in the first place? Or are you just like, do you really use an air fryer? Do you really need an air fryer, or are you just buying it?
You know what I like for small things, if you're camping small, is if you're talking about the cooking department, if you have multiple options, a 2-burner Coleman stove, Blackstone, or air fryer, choose one and you camp with that.
And that was my point. If you decide you want that little red air fryer, what are you going to get rid of?
If you can do a whole trip on one of them, you can do a whole trip on a Blackstone easy.
Well, you can, except for there are people who say, yeah, but I really like to cook my biscuits here, and then I like to grill the steaks over here.
Okay, all right. So their hobby is, in a way, is cooking.
Or that's just what they're used to at home.
Yeah.
And so that's how they want it to go. Some people don't adapt very well to camping, and they want everything that they have at home to be in their camper.
It's going to be hard with small format.
You adopt the idea of like, if you bring something in, it means you take something out.
And you don't need multiples, and you don't need similar items.
You are like that in your house too. You're like, look at this new pair of socks I got. I got to go find one to burn. I mean, like, and
it does not become a puppet.
If all of my socks don't fit in the basket, something has to go. Yeah, I don't get another basket.
But nothing comes into that house without something being taken out.
Well, I'm the person that has a big woven basket, and I mean, it's big. I could probably sit in it. And that's at the bottom of my closet, so that anything in my house that needs to go to Goodwill or go away gets dumped in there. And when it gets full, I take it away. So I'm always thinking about what I don't need, and also the thought that somebody else could use it. But if I don't need it, it's in my way and it slows me down. So I'm not sure that's the best way for everyone to live, but I'm kind of the Marie Kondo fan. If it's not something you love or absolutely have to have, think really hard about whether you want to take it camping.
If it brings you joy.
Yes.
Pinch it. Okay.
Hey, okay. So, no, I'm sorry. That's my advice.
Pinch it.
Does it bring you joy?
Pinch it real good.
Throw it
Yes.
away.
Oh.
Okay, go ahead.
Everybody, we are going to wrap this one up. This has been a lot of fun. Don't forget show notes. Anywhere you want to find us, look up the RV Small Talk podcast. That's how you find us pretty much anywhere. Put it in the Googles. And we'll come up with another episode for you next week. Did you two know that this is episode number 200? Did you know it? I knew it.
What?
So, How to Simplify means 200 episodes of RV Small Talk podcast.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to us. It's not really our birthday. Well,
No,
happy
but
birthday
yeah,
to
Wow.
us.
You mean we
200?
have sat down and done this 200 times?
That's
Maybe
ridiculous.
more because I lost a few.
It's true.
So we have talked about a whole lot of things.
Wow.
Real quickly, we should have started with that, man. So real quickly, is there one episode that sticks out for you, Clint, that you're like, man, I remember that one?
Okay, I loved our early episodes when we were still figuring it out, and we were goofy, and we're talking about we would talk about specific animals and like snakes. That was a great one, and I really liked our episodes with Terry Lucas, because she not only came in with great things on first aid, but she has every real life story. Stuff happens to her and she shares it.
Yep.
So I really love those.
Lindsay, what was one of your favorites?
I mean, my favorites are always going to be the ones where we interview people. I remember in our first couple episodes, we had Mandy and Kendrick on, and they were talking about camping from like they went from Canada all the way down to Mexico, and me just thinking that was the coolest thing ever. And then the couple that lived in the truck camper with their baby.
Yep.
I mean, just like total mind-blowing stuff that I just thought was so cool that we got to sit down and talk to these people. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. The interviews with campers.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Which we definitely still do. It's
Yes.
just, I'm remembering those like very first ones, which we were trying
Trailer
to
trashing. Do you remember how much fun that was?
Gosh.
laughing so
Those
much.
guys were so funny.
And we were still trying to figure out, you know, how to podcast, how to talk into a microphone, how to not talk over each other, which we still haven't mastered.
we still do.
Hey, we still do.
Well, I think I remember, first of all, the one about coffee. It was an early on. We were trying to figure it out. We were talking about all the ways to make coffee and a long discussion about cowboy coffee.
That's right. It's gritty.
But I also really liked the episode where you had to pick whether it was a park name, SpongeBob SquarePants episode, or an Old Crow Medicine Show song.
I remember.
And that I thought was brilliant. You and your sisters made up that game, and we did a podcast.
We should play more games.
We
was
should
so
play more
fun.
games. It was hilarious.
Although I remember it was a lot of work to set up.
Yes, but I think didn't the Beans come and play it with us?
Yes.
Some of our camper friends. It was so fun.
I'm going to go listen to that episode on the way home.
Good.
All right.
Good. We got to let you because you got kids to pick up from
I
school.
do. I
All right.
got to go.
Why don't you put a list of all our favorite
my
episodes
goodness.
in the show notes?
Okay. Very good. Everybody, we got to get Lindsay out of here, so we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.